Toque la guitarra, andale. Cha-cha.
I know what it means, kid.
You want green peppers? I give you green peppers. Come out to the garden.
Segundo, por favor.
Dice que los de tu casa ninguno me puede ver. Diles que no bacalao, que al cabo lo han de beber. Tell your parents not to muddy the water around us.
¿Por qué?
They may have to drink it soon. La mula que yo monté, la montó hoy mi compadre. Eso a mí no me importa, pues yo lo monté.
I just assumed that we had this sweet little neighborhood nursery, and that was it. And it is so much bigger than just the neighborhood nursery. So that's what Chris is going to tell us about tonight.
Well, I'm Chris Shipley, one of the owners of Civano Growers and Civano Nursery. Civano Growers is owned by my two brothers, Alex and Nick, my father, Les Shipley, and myself. My wife, obviously, as well, Melanie, runs our garden center. But where the four of us, Alex, Nick, Chris, myself, and Les go off to every day, we travel about 30 miles, 25 miles southwest of here to Old Miguel's Highway. We come to our farm called Civano Growers. So this is my dream, and I've been working on it for a long time. it's not just a wholesale plant nursery. That's one thing that feeds Phoenix and the desert Southwest. But I guess what I'm most proud of is that my brother Nick has really become a pioneer in breeding plants and creating new plants for the desert Southwest. And with the water shortages in Texas, Arizona, and California, making plants more appealing to you all, to the landscapes, instead of using high water plants that create a lot of maintenance and labor. We need plants that are more responsible in behavior, we'll just say. Things that are smaller, things that are cleaner, things that are more attractive and use less water. My brother 15 years ago went to work on fixing. The plants are all beautiful. All the plants are just beautiful, but there's ways to make them maybe used better in the landscapes so they create less, they're used more. What we need to use less water plants, low water plants. The first plant that he went to work on was the lady slipper plant. And that happened in 2011. We got to 13 degrees here in Civano, and all the lady slippers in Civano were dead, and all over Tucson, except 2 in Civano that I saw. One of them was in my front yard. One of them was Judy Kelly's, and it was a couple neighbors down. I wonder where she got the plant from. But cold events is one way to find out what survives and what doesn't. So my brother cloned the little lady slipper plant here, and I named it after a famous penguin called Chili Willy. So if you want a reliably cold hardy lady slipper plant, because they mostly fail at 25, Chili Willy's the only one in the world that is reliably hardy to probably 15, maybe 13. Actually, it's harder to 12, but I just don't. It's hard to say, you know. But it's harder to go 12 degrees. He went to work on everyone knows what Texas Rangers are, the shrubs. So the Texas Rangers, if you take 2 of these round tables and put them together, that's how wide they get. They get 8 to 10 feet wide, and they get 8 feet tall. So imagine that you see them all pruned up in Civano in shapes, and you're like, why do they have to do that? But when something's going to be 8 by 8, it's in a 3 by 3 planting area, I don't know, right? Plant here. So this plant, Microburst, is the first dwarf leucophyllum that will live in just about any conditions in the world. It's 3 by 3. Most of these candidums, this is a candidum species, will die if they get more than a ½ inch of rain. And so you don't see them too often in Tucson, but on maybe high ground and sandy soil and someone who really knows what they're doing to take care of them. Thundercloud, because we'll get easily here a 2-inch rain, and most of those will die. A lot of the unique cultivars will die with a 1.5, 2-inch rain, especially if you put them in a low point. And green cloud is what we see mostly in Tucson, and compacta, that's the gray leafed one you see. Those are the 2 toughest, and they'll also live in Texas. But my brother crossed green cloud into everything he could get his hands on. And then he crossed again. And when we crossed again, what he calls the F2 generation, we got a lot of dwarfing. And it's quite exciting, because to have now something that's 3 by 3 that was 8 by 8 is a big difference. And a big difference for the landscape. No more butterballs have to be made. San Antonio Rose was the first one that came out. It's an F1 generation, and he made the compacta look better. And that was the first of his Texas Ranger breeding. Laredo is the most evergreen Texas Ranger that will live in Tucson and in Texas now. Super evergreen, but it is 6 feet tall. But it can take a massive rain. This could be grown in Louisiana now. Not that it necessarily should be, but we trial our plants in East Texas, in Tyler, and we try them out in Louisiana to see what they can do. Little Lynn, which is this one. This is Little Lynn. This is the first green-leafed Texas Ranger that's 4 feet tall. So now we have 2 different colors. So now the landscape designer can start to paint their picture with a little more choice and texture. But this one only gets 4 by 4. Remember, they got 8 by 8. So this stoplights is the dwarf red yucca that you see that's always bloom. It's very small. And most of these plants, the red yuccas you see around town, they stop blooming after about 8 weeks. But since this picture was only taken a month ago, there's no seeds on the flowers. And once it starts to seed, the plant stops flowering. But since it's sterile, it blooms all summer into fall, from spring into fall, off and on, constant. Same with this plant here is Little Giant. And Little Giant, once it sets its flowers to the bigger plant, it sets its flowers for 6 months. So my brother is given now flowering and size predictability. This can live in Oklahoma, or it could live in Florida, or live in Tucson. He's just giving the hope of using less water, more beauty all over the desert Southwest. All these plants are unique. You've all seen this plant in our medians. A lot of them died in 2011, 2013. They get about 6 feet tall. And it made us sad that they died. So my brother crossed it with our native fairy duster. This normally is native to Baja, California. We mixed it with our pink fairy duster, which hardly blooms. We brought the size down to 4 feet, so now you shouldn't have to chop it down and lose bloom time. But we also made it cold hardier, so it's cold hardy to about 10 degrees. So as long as we don't get to 10 degrees in Tucson, we're good. This is a huge pollinator plant, and if you want butterflies in your garden and you want it to be smaller, the Mexicali rose is the only one of its kind. Little Miss Sunshine will be coming out this fall, and this will be the first compact yellow, I'll just call it red yucca, for lack of a better term, that's ever out on the market. I could go on and on about the different plants. We have at least 20 patents, and I probably have another 20 or 30 before my brother hangs up a shingle. This plant, this will be the first seedless, thornless mesquite. We all know about bean pods. Now the bean pods have their place. They do feed a lot of animals, but I think we have an excess. We have very well-fed animals. But this will be called Civano Seedless, and when I license it out to other growers, they will have to call it Civano Seedless. That's just my little. Yep. That is it just makes me happy to say that. But this one will be out mostly next summer. You'll get it out in a little way in big sizes, and very large sizes at the garden center in a couple weeks. But it truly it doesn't flower, so therefore it doesn't seed. And it's a fairly upright, sturdy representative of a Chilean hybrid mesquite. Nice. Oh, this one, Sweet Bubba. You see some of these planted along Civano Boulevard, Night. Thank you. I've only lived here since it was desert. And so this one is seedless as well, and it blooms beautifully. If you notice, there's some desert willows on Civano Boulevard as you're leaving the community. And if you look in the winter, the seeds will be stuck to it all winter long. And you're not going to call me and tell me to bat the seeds off, because I'm not going to do it. But it looks kind of ugly. And so you won't, and then you'll see they have a very open shape. Those are just your normal variety desert willows. They're pretty in their own way. But these ones, you won't have that problem. It has a much more of a symmetrical shape as well. Sweet Bubba. We also have one called Bubba Jones. But the Joe and Leonetti is a beautiful selection of a desert oak, and we named it after Joe. There's the Mexicali rose, what it grows into. Normally that would be 6 feet tall. My brother brought 2 feet off its size and made it cold hardier probably by 10 degrees. Oh, Tacoma Red Hot is the most compact Tacoma there is, actually. One of the smallest at 4 feet. Dognea, so this plant died in everyone's yard in 2011, and if it didn't, 2013, then it finished it off. But they went right to the ground, and most of them were taken out. And this is where, on the cold events, we went four-wheeling. So these are native to southern Arizona in the mountains. My brother went four-wheeling up to the town of Ruby at about 4,000 feet. He saw millions of, well, thousands of them dead. And 4 were alive. And he took cuttings from those 4 and grew the ones that he chose were the best. We came up with emerald ice. So now we know that we have one that's hardy to about 5 degrees. So now you can plant, because this is a great privacy plant for your yard. It grows about 3 to 4 feet a year. And Dognea, or hot bush as it's commonly called, now you shouldn't have to fear if you get an emerald ice that it's going to die from cold anymore. But that's what we've been up to, and this is where plants come from. Let me tell you. Are there any questions? The plants are all to be given away. I think there's probably roughly 50 people in here. There's probably at least 50 plants. So please each take one. Yeah, they're all unique plants. Every one of them is one of my brother's patents or his selections. They may not all be patented, but they're all his selections or patents. And that's it. And we really appreciate living in Civano and being a part of the community. Thank you.